back. This is Your World at 10 on CNBC TV 18. Now, just a few days ago, there was an M&A transaction in the country that busted three myths: that there are no buyers in the country, in the world right now, in fact, that sellers will wait till prices move up before they sell, and that Indian promoters never sell. I'm talking of the Radhakrishna Hospitality Services transaction, where Radhakrishna Hospitality Services sold a 500 crore rupee business, that's its facilities services management business, to French giant Sodexo for about 600 crore rupees. Well, I have with me tonight Raju Shetty, the Chairman and Managing Director of RKHS, and also with me Bobby Parekh, the B in BMR, the firm that advised Raju on this transaction. Raju, Bobby, thank you very much for joining us on Your World at 10 this evening. I'll start with you, Raju. They say that Indian promoters never sell out, but you did. They said that valuations are very, very low and no one wants to sell right now, but you did. You want to comment on the timing of this transaction and why you chose to sell at a time when most people seem to be holding on to their stake, hoping that next year will probably bring them better prices?
I think the sole reason was that we were going through a reorganization ourselves. We are in multiple businesses as a group, and one of the things that we wanted to actually ensure is that in this whole environment that currently exists is to refocus, realign, and have allocation of resources, which is the key thing today to succeed, and more importantly, the focus. So our whole game plan now is to be able to focus on the supply chain, distribution, logistics, and wholesaling business, which is the Foodland business, which we are currently scaling up.
Why did you choose not to sell out on that business? Was it that Sodexo was not interested, or you chose to retain that business, Raju?
No, I think, every business has its cycles. Every business has its growth-related issues and challenges. I think, more importantly, that business is a subset of the front end, call it food services or food retail. And we just believe that that business is probably the most relevant as far as India is concerned in terms of its growth opportunities. And also, having faced all the challenges so far in that business and now being able to put that to work over the next 5 to 7 years just looked very straightforward, and at the same time extremely interesting to be able to scale it to a different level. Yeah.
All right. Bobby, I'm told that this transaction was almost a year in the works. This is pretty curious timing, considering that across the world people are either, buyers are either waiting for prices to get worse or sellers are waiting for prices to get better. So do tell me how you all managed to strike it finally after a year of negotiations.
Well, I think, Manika, this was a different situation as far as the transaction was concerned, because this was not a financial transaction in itself. Sodexo is a global leader in the industry in food services and facilities management, and Radhakrishna is a leader in India in that same business, and so really this was a transaction which was driven and guided very substantially by overall strategic considerations. And in that kind of a context, the timing is less of an issue, and many of the considerations that otherwise apply to transactions, I think, become less so in more strategic transactions.
Bobby, were there other people interested as well, or was this a out-and-out negotiated transaction with Sodexo, or were you talking to other players, maybe not just in the food business, but even private equity players or things like that?
I think there were a number of different options that we were looking at over a period of time, and this one just happened to be something which sort of met Raju's objectives and RKHS's objectives and also Sodexo's objectives. So this sort of in the end was the one arrangement which worked well.
Okay, Bobby, also give me a comment on the price. It seems to add up to about a little over one-time revenue for the business that Raju has sold. Now, I don't think there are benchmark such deals anywhere else in India, because we haven't had a company like RKHS in India do a transaction like this. How does this compare globally?
It's a fairly competitive valuation, and we looked at a number of different metrics, and I think that on the whole we think that the transaction was reasonably priced. We would of course have liked to have more, but I think in fairness it was a good transaction.
Yeah, Raju, why didn't you hold out? Maybe 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months down the line, you might have got even more?
No, I think that's always the, you can always look back in hindsight and say this could have been possible, or you could have got
but
higher
this is
valuation.
peculiarly bad. I mean, it's a particularly bad time for the global markets. Valuations everywhere are at an all-time low. So, weren't you hopeful that maybe next year, same time, you would have got a better valuation?
Yeah, that thought will always remain with me. But I think what is important, most importantly for me, was that the opportunity that's coming up on the food distribution, logistics, supply chain end is just substantial. And we just have to understand that you don't have unlimited resources, and you have to align yourself at some point. And I think this was not timed in a manner of speaking, but I think I thought that it was the right time. It was fair. It was one could have always thought that you could have got something more, but I think that was a consideration, but that was not the only consideration.
Okay, to better understand it from an entrepreneur's perspective, Raju, I also understand there are some reports that you were looking for financing for many, many months and couldn't quite come upon the right terms for that financing. So is that what, in a sense, forced your hand to sell some part of your business and thereby raise money to finance the rest of your business where you seem to think the future lies?
Yeah, I think, if you look at the options that are available, I think there are only 3 or 4, which it's either private equity, it's debt, or it's strategic, or it's a combination of either or. I think when you look at and weigh all those options from a timing perspective or from a value perspective, one has to pick up the best options. And this option that came along was probably the best suited from an RKHS standpoint, and that's what helped to move forward and conclude it.
Okay, one quick last question to you, Raju. Now you have about 500, 600 crore rupees, as you indicated to me. Much of that now gets invested in the remaining part of the business, which is the supply chain business and maybe even the retail front end. What have you decided to do with retail?
Well, I think retail as a business was, never our intent. I think we were kind of exploring that opportunity, and retailing, I think, for time to come is going to be a very difficult, in my opinion, from a business model perspective.
So you're definitely exiting retail.
Formats.
You're definitely exiting retail. So what do you do with this 500, 600 crore rupees? Are you looking at only organic growth for the supply chain business when it comes to food? Are you also looking at maybe going out there and becoming a buyer yourself, if there's anything to buy?
No, I think we'll just focus on, the wholesale supply chain distribution logistics business is a huge opportunity in this country. I think we'll just be very focused on what we know best, which is food, services, logistics, and be able to do something which is, pioneering and at the same time, gaining leadership in that particular area through better focus and, resource allocation.
Bobby, is there any way to extrapolate this transaction to gauge a larger M&A mood in this country? I know there are many experts who say that this is the best time ever for companies to consolidate. There are others who say that, because of the valuation trick, many buyers are sort of holding out for lower prices, and like I said, sellers are holding out for higher prices. So does this deal mean that we can see many more promoters look to exit in difficult times like this so that they can maybe finance other parts of their business?
Well, I don't know if an extrapolation is entirely appropriate.
Okay.
Raju's circumstances were Raju's, and I think that I don't know that they apply equally for everyone. But I think that it's only a matter of time. I think the environment will become probably more conducive to more transactions. Certainly, consolidations, strategic acquisitions, and hopefully we'll see more of that happening over a period of time.
All right, Bobby, Raju, thank you very much for your time this evening, and congratulations on the transaction. All the best with your future businesses. Well, that, like I said, was a myth-busting transaction. Indian promoters do sell out if they feel the need, and valuations are not that bad. They can sell out at a time like this as well. Well,